Hi, I am Deshpande. I'm working as the head of marketing and corporate communications at BNR India. BNR Industrial Automation is a member of the ABP group, and we are a technology leader and an innovative company providing machine and factory automation solutions globally. Today's topic I will be covering on technologies and various applications which are required for these implementation of such technologies, which are advanced automation solutions or next generation technologies, as many people would term it as. These technologies eventually help in driving business growth. They are key enablers and key drivers for global competitiveness for various machine builders and factories across India. First of all, when we talk about a factory or a machine builder, let it be any entity, and the most important aspect for any company is to have a good health, or the health of the organization, as we call it. And when you talk of health of an organization, the important topics which are being covered are the share price, or the annual earnings, or the earnings per share for a big company. Eventually, for a small company or even for MSMEs, it is not the share price, but it's eventually the profitability or the kind of turnover which they bring into their business. So these are various aspects when someone terms it as a health of an organization. And no one wants to be unprofitable. They really want to be profitable and really get good business going. But then this is just the superficial way of talking. But when we go deeper into this topic of the health of an organization, we eventually realize that it's important to know that the product is going to give more features and the product quality is of utmost importance. Again, this is more or less the business owner's perspective or the stakeholder's perspective. When we drill deeper, we eventually realize that a factory operator or a production in charge or someone who is actually doing hands-on work on the shop floor, for him these kind of things do not matter. But then, of course, whatever he looks into builds upon and brings more profitability. For example, if you look at a factory manager or a production in charge or a maintenance in charge, for him he's not so much worried about the earnings per share, whereas or the annual turnover. But then he's more focused on the quality of the product, the kind of productivity he's giving for the machines, the kind of overall equipment effectiveness he's trying to build for his lines or the factory. Eventually, the availability of his machines or his lines are going to term the productivity of the entire shop floor. Moreover, he's also going to look at the track and trace or the traceability of the products. Whether his lines are being monitored 24/7, whether he's providing a good service for his machine upkeep. And at the end, it's important for him to provide a very low downtime and of machines. So that is, he wants to ensure a high availability and be available for for producing goods whichever are produced on the line 24/7. So these are different KPIs which I can call for the factory manager or the line operator. So now we have seen two parts. One is the business owner's perspective, and one we have seen the perspective of the factory manager. So they are not too different. The only thing is the focus is a bit too different, and eventually they are leading to the same thing, which is higher profitability. But then at the end, we have to drill down to technologies, and these technologies are nothing but technologies which are driving the growth or being enablers for the factory of the future. These kind of technologies eventually are going to enable industries or factories to increase their competitive advantage and become globally profitable. So the technologies which can be termed as game changers, you can name a few. So I can name a few technologies. For example, you need a scalable system, or you need batch size one production, so which is the need of the hour right now, or mass customization. So there are many such technologies which are available, and definitely many factories are looking at adopting these technologies and eventually build future factories, maybe future machines. And this is all driven by simple goals of becoming more profitable, giving more productivity, enhancing your performance, optimizing your resources, optimizing your processes. If I would say The latest ones which have added on in the factory is the AI and ML, which is artificial intelligence or machine learning, even virtual reality. These kind of technologies have also been coming up or emerging in the industrial automation area. Of course, due to lack of time, we'll not go into the technologies because I guess we are all aware of these technologies. We have been attending webinars, we have been attending sessions, events for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and we have been listening to these kind of solutions and technologies in the offering by various vendors. But then what is important for us today is to see what are the kind of applications or the challenges or the roadmap which we can draw. So at the end, we say that yes, technologies are there. Technologies are definitely going to keep on coming up. So today we are talking about Industry 4.0, Industrial IoT, digitalization. But then maybe in 1 year's time, in 2 years' time, we will be talking about something totally different, or maybe something extrapolated, or something much more than what we are even seeing or witnessing today. But then there are many things which come to our mind. The first thing which comes to our mind, or which comes to anyone's mind while implementing technologies, is the implementation FAQs. Now, when we talk of implementation FAQs, the first thing which people normally ask is how much automation would be required. And I normally tell them that it's not a lot. It's really not a lot. It's only a perception that, oh, if I need a technologically advanced factory, a technologically advanced machine, I need a lot of automation. Not necessarily. Most importantly, automation, digitization, industrial IoT, or any future factory, the purposes are quite different. And when we try to evaluate these technologies, we have to evaluate what we want to achieve. That's most important. Secondly, what kind of expertise is needed is you have to understand your own process. As a machine builder, as a factory, you need to understand your processes in great detail. The next thing which you require is a technologically friendly team, a team which is willing to move ahead with new technologies and not be scared, or not look at what is running, but we don't want to have something new. So that's something which we have to break the culture, break the mindset. At the end, analytics, of course, whatever data you can generate from the field, you need to evaluate it, you need to look at it in a very different way, and you need to get reports. You have to convert this data into information, and only then will your team be able to successfully drive any kind of implementation or any kind of evaluation. Apart from implementation, the first step would be evaluation. So what are the things in evaluations and implementations? It's important for you to identify business imperatives. First of all, identify what you want to achieve with your business. Next thing is, what are the technologies available? You have to map these relevant techniques and technologies to your existing business imperatives. You have to also conduct feasibility studies. As a machine builder or as a factory, when you understand, oh, this is something which I have as a technology, and these are the gaps which I have in my existing processes, then you have to map these two technologies using feasibility studies. You don't require a third party to do it. You or your team can also do such kind of feasibility studies. Then you have to prioritize technologies. As I said, there are countless technologies today, and in the future there will be much more. So you as a factory operator, or you as a owner, business owner, have to prioritize your technologies. And last but not the least, you have to create a roadmap. You have to set milestones. And it's very important that you have to select the right partners who will work with you hand in hand in this entire journey of your technology adoptions. At the end, I would say, what is the role of stakeholders? So in any industry, in any factory, you have many stakeholders. You have the management teams, you have the managers, you have the people on the shop floor, the operators. Then you have your vendors, and then you have sub-vendors. So let's take an example of factory operator. As a factory operator, you have lines which are built up of machines, and the machines are coming from different machine builders, or the OEMs which we call it. Now these OEMs are also having their own vendors for mechanics, for electronics, for hydraulics for that matter. So there are a lot of entities in the entire value chain of a factory. So it's important that all the stakeholders which are part of this technology adoption process have a clear understanding of what is to be done and what is to be achieved. Secondly, you need a complete management's commitment towards these technology adoptions. It is important that all the stakeholders who are involved in the project of technology adoptions are aligned. They need to move in the right direction together, and they should not have tangential thoughts. So here is something which the transparency will help in creating an aligned workforce. Secondly, any kind of technological adoption, any kind of technology adoptions, you need to realize that it's a project, it's a journey. It's not going to be a very simple implementation like maybe installing something on your laptop. Take a software, run the file, and it runs. You install something, and then you are having access to whatever you have installed. It's not going to be that easy. There are going to be ups and downs, and as a team, you have to move forward. You and your team need to have a joint vision of what you want to achieve. You, as I said in earlier, that you need to set milestones. Now these milestones will eventually build up to your joint vision, what you want to achieve at the end. So if your idea is going to be optimizations, then the technologies which you are going to adopt are going to lead to eventually optimizing your processes. If you want to have a better efficiency, then you move in the better efficiency direction. If you want to have performance, you need to go in the performance side. Be very clear of what you want to achieve from day one. It's fine to keep on adding some more things, but do not change it completely at a 360-degree phase shift. Do not do that. Eventually, you also need a good critical analysis of what is the status today and would be the status after these technology adoptions, maybe 1 year down the line, 6 months down the line, or 2 years down the line, however it could be. Define these steps, define the status what you want to achieve. And very important thing is you need to have a good buy-in from all the stakeholders. So this is something which will help you in a successful implementation of your technologies in your machine, in your plant. I hope this session was informative, and definitely I hope there will be something for the audience to take back on various challenges and opportunities and the way forward for technology implementations. In case you would like to get in touch, my coordinates from LinkedIn are on the screen. Thank you very much for your attention.